Good morning, traders. This is Perry Wilkie with StartupTrading.com. It is 8:48 a.m. Eastern Time on Thursday, May the 6th. So as we look at, really, we've had this little shelf coming out that we're looking at. We said really the bottom of that shelf's like 41.67, 41.68. Uh, we had a look below, but you see this candle that we had basically on Tuesday just rechecked the previous week, right? It didn't take it out. It actually, the low of the day that day for the bell was 10 points above exactly the previous weekly low back in this range. So as we look at, where we're at right now, if we open up here, which the market still has 41 minutes till it opens, we would open up below this little node up here. So watch this, basically that 68 to 71 range, let's call it, as the bottom, and that just opens the door back up towards 90. And then above 90 is where things get going. So the title of my video is that holding for until NFP, non-farm payroll tomorrow. So the least likely scenario, right, would be to make an all-time high today. But that doesn't, anything's possible in the market, and you got to open your mind up to that. But just play the levels that the in the windows that you're given, right? So basically below that 68 to 70 can get you down to that 41, and then even potentially down to 41.16 would be a reasonable thing to test sometime during this session. I think it's unlikely that we'll get that test until you would have to meaningfully break under 41.50 to get that test, but you could get that flush 40 points lower, recheck this wick. So with that said, let's look at the rest of the indexes. So you got the Dow down here. Yesterday it hit all-time highs. It's basically less than 20 points away from an all-time high right now. So, that is easily on the table for it. And then if you look at the NASDAQ down here, right, it's the only one that didn't hold its retest for the previous week, right? It should have held 13,730. It failed. That's going to be resistance going forward. So, to be honest with you, I think that the NASDAQ needs to check down around 13,300 to see if that level holds or not before it can actually take a run back up towards 730. But we've got these little mini levels in between, 13,385, 13,445, 13,534, 13,625, and 13,730. Those are the levels I'm watching, but above that 13,300. For some reason later on in the week, if that wouldn't help hold, right, the next level really is 13,170 for it. So the Russell is still, if you look at where I've got these dark orange boxes or gold, whatever color you want to use for them or name it, listed, right, the Dow is the only one that's above that support resistance block. The ES is marginally below it. That block is between 41.65 and 75 for it. For the Russell, that's going to be at 22.75 to 22.88, right? It's down in the next level. And as we look at, really what's going on, so the ES gets caught in between the Dow and the NASDAQ. For the ES to meaningfully, go up today and hold above this 41.54, 41.55 level, right below there, there's just a quick flush, more than likely down to 39.40 right in there. So about 15 points of a flush, and then 41.54 should be resistance above that. That's just the way it is. We're consolidating here. We're not getting anything. You can see that we're high, lower high, lower high, lower high, lower high. Eventually that cycle will break. whether it breaks today or not will be remain to see. For the for the ES though, the key is going to be the Nasdaq, right? The Dow can only pull it so much, and if the Dow cracks below basically 34,000, that's what's going to open the door to the downside pretty much a little bit wider for everything else. Looking at the overnight action, 23 points. Looking at the level fours, we could go down to basically 41.05 or up to 42.14, which would only be 3 points above that all-time high. I don't think that really either one of those is on the table to be touched today. I think we could, potentially retest lower if we lose that, 50 to 55 range, and we'll see if it holds in there or not. But let's look at all the indexes. Overnight action, the Russell, all the actions pretty much in value. These green dots are the overnight low, just barely below the value area low, and the overnight high just above value area high. For the rest of the index, for the NASDAQ and the ES, right, an incremental lower low, right, below yesterday's bell low, barely, and you can see only a little wick that was down there. The same for the ES and the NASDAQ. For the Dow, right, the overnight high is at the bell high for yesterday, and the overnight low is right, at the middle of value area. So the Dow is still holding up, right? Nothing gets a good Dow down. So as we look at this, you have to assume for today, since we're waiting on news, that it's going to be more chop, right? Could we touch a level 2? Potentially, probably for the NASDAQ and the ES. And the Russell might just need to retest down here one more time. If we get a little bit weak today, it probably needs one more test down around this 2203 to 2207 area, and then that should be a good window to go back up towards probably 2220 to 2225. So I'm going to leave it there. We're going to look at the overnight value areas. We'll see if we get anything above. Remember, yesterday I said if we couldn't get, above the overnight value areas, that we probably weren't going to be able to do anything. We would just be stuck in those ranges overnight. So as we look at yesterday, let's go back and look at that one more time, looking at the 8 grid. So you can see that the Russell trapped below, right? You can see the NASDAQ trapped within and then broke lower. The ES broke lower, couldn't get above and hold, and just lower. And even the Dow, right, went under it, over it, and back in it. So you can't get anywhere, right? For a trending day, you need all 8 indexes basically to get that beta of, or the correlation of 1. You need all of these to be above their shaded boxes. Until then, you can get, something's going to trend, but it's only going to have limited upside, right? If everyone's not buying everything, you're going to get more of the chop in the two-way street. So that's what I'm going to be watching again today. See if we get anything to that. We're going to look at the Dow is the one that would be for the downside action. The Dow would be the one that if it can crack value area low, which is just below that 34,000 at 33,992, right? That's going to open the floodgates to the downside to get those lower tests. Otherwise, it's probably just going to be some more choppy action waiting on tomorrow. I hope this helps you guys have a great day, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.